Viewers, good evening. The Congress party's shrill outcry against the RSS and the BJP for questioning the inclusion of words secular and socialist in the Constitution's preamble is nothing but a masterclass in political hypocrisy. By branding the BJP and the RSS as anti-constitution for seeking a review of these terms, Congress conveniently sidesteps a glaring truth. Viewers, the original preamble on the left of your screen, crafted under the stewardship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Jawaharlal Nehru, did not include these words. Were Ambedkar and Nehru, the architects of our constitution, also anti-constitution by Congress's logic? Viewers, the words secular and socialist were inserted into the preamble in 1976 during the emergency, a dark period when Indira Gandhi's government trampled democratic freedoms. This was no democratic amendment. It was a political maneuver pushed through a muzzled parliament under authoritarian rule. Let's be clear about that. Viewers, as you know, secularism in its truest sense means the state remains neutral in matters of religion, treating all faiths equally. But has India's practice of secularism under Congress's long rule ever reflected this ideal, this principle? Viewers, countless Hindu temples across states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh remain under government control. You've seen the two preambles, the original preamble and the amended preamble. Let's now move on. We were talking about temple control. Their funds and management dictated by the state authorities. Meanwhile, mosques, churches and other religious institutions enjoy far greater autonomy. Is this equal treatment? Think about it. Is this secularism? Let's look at personal laws, viewers. Hindu civil laws have been codified and reformed, often aligning with modern principles, while Muslim personal laws rooted in Sharia remain largely untouched. Why does a secular state allow such disparity? Why are Hindus subject to uniform legal standards while other communities retain religion-based laws? Viewers, this selective application reeks of appeasement, not neutrality. Then there's the question of minority status. It's a critical question. In states where Hindus are a majority, such as are a minority, I beg your pardon, like Jammu and Kashmir or certain northeastern states, they are denied minority benefits, while religious minorities in Hindu majority states enjoy special protections and privileges. Now, how does this align with the principles of equality that secularism demands? And what about the legal barriers preventing Hindus from reclaiming temples destroyed or converted before 1947, with only a few exceptions? Viewers, a truly secular state would either allow all communities to address historical grievances or none. Why the selective restriction on Hindus? Viewers, the existence of a Ministry of Minority Affairs further exposes the farce. Why does a secular state need a dedicated ministry to cater to specific religious groups? Why? Shouldn't a secular government ensure justice and welfare for all citizens equally without carving out special provisions based on religion? That would be secularism, true secularism. The ministry's very existence contradicts the principle of state neutrality that Congress claims to uphold. Viewers, by accusing the BJP and RSS of being anti-constitution for questioning these contradictions, the Congress party is deflecting from its own uncomfortable history. The original preamble, as envisioned by Ambedkar and Nehru and the Constituent Assembly, was a carefully crafted document that avoided terms like secular and socialist for a reason. The framers understood that India's diverse society needed a flexible framework, not a rigid ideological label, or labels if you will. Ambedkar himself argued against including terms that could constrain the Constitution's adaptability. By inserting secular and socialist during the emergency, the Congress did not strengthen the Constitution, it politicized it, bending it to suit its narrative of that time. Viewers, the Congress's sanctimonious posturing as some guardian of the Constitution or Constitution savior is a hollow act. If questioning the preamble's amendments is anti-constitution, then Rahul Gandhi, who's put out a post slamming the BJP and RSS, must answer one simple question. Were Ambedkar and Nehru, who gave us the original preamble, also anti-constitution because it did not have the word secular and socialist? Was the Constituent Assembly, which debated and rejected such ideological terms, also misguided? And finally, was India before 1976 not secular or less secular? That's the question we'll debate, but sample the reactions first.
मालूम है सेक्युलरिज्म और सोशलिज्म के वो प्रस्तावना में नहीं थे, पहले प्रियम्बल में नहीं थे, बाद में इसको निकालने के प्रयत्न हुआ नहीं है। चर्चा हुई, दोनों प्रकार के आर्गुमेंट्स हुए, तो क्या वो रहनी चाहिए प्रस्तावना में, ये विचार होना चाहिए।
मुझे नहीं लगता कोई दो राय। दत्तात्रेय जी ने ही ये बात भी रखी है कि जो 42 संशोधन के बाद सेकुलर और सोशल शब्द, क्योंकि ये बाबा मजहब की देन नहीं है, तो डॉक्टर अंबेडकर हैज प्रोड्यूस वन ऑफ द बेस्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। अगर वो उनकी सोच नहीं थी तो भला किस सोच के साथ ये शब्द जोड़े गए? No, I think any right-thinking citizen will endorse it, because everybody knows that this is not the part of the original constitution which was written by Dr. Ambedkar and the other rest of the committee.
The RSS never accepted this constitution of India and its foundational pillars, saying that this constitution did not derive inspiration from the ideals of Manu. It was not based on Manu's Smriti. They assaulted the constitution at every step.
इन लोगों का दिल और दिमाग नफरत से भरा हुआ है, राजनीति करना चाहते हैं, जातियों में धर्म में भेदभाव पैदा कर करके वोट लेना चाहते हैं। वो लोग सेकुलरिज्म और सोशलिज्म के खिलाफ हैं।
ये आरएसएस और भाजपा वाला बड़ा भारी लोग चाहता का संविधान रहे इस देश में। ये तो आरएसएस के लोग अपना एजेंडा चलाना चाहते हैं। कौन है भाई? देश के आजादी में क्या कुर्बानी है जो तुम देश के संविधान के बारे में बोल रहे हो?
Let's open this up. It'll be a serious debate because we are talking about something sensitive and important. Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate. Ashwini Kumar Mishra, leader of the Congress Party. Professor Rakesh Sinha, author, former member of parliament. Professor Monojit Mondal. Dr. Anand Ranganathan completes the panel. Ashwini Mishra, my first question to you is very simply this. Rahul Gandhi has put out a post. He says BJP and RSS are anti-constitution. Nehru ji, Ambedkar ji, were they also anti-constitution?
Pranesh, the biggest joke of the century is RSS, who burned the constitution, who burned the effigies of Nehru ji and Ambedkar ji, are talking about constitution on the first place. Don't you see it as a joke that those who said that this constitution is useless, Manu Smriti is better than this constitution? Isn't it a joke that they're asking the questions on the constitution amendments? Our constitution has been amended 106 times so far. and there is no problem amending constitution. The idea of constitution is the idea of India. And when, by the way, just to let you know, I am sure you would also know that all these two words, secular, socialist, were already there in constitution in some or other form. Article 25, Article 26, right to religion, allow you to have a word secular in constitution. It was amended to ensure that this message is clear to everyone who is in India, that India is not a vegetarian nation. India will not be driven by the RSS ideology. India will be driven by the constitution. India will be
well
driven
said.
by the...
But if the words already existed, why did you change the preamble?
Word existed, but the people of the country who were trying to decentralize those things, who was trying to misuse these powers.
Okay.
We had to ensure that these words are put up upfront in the preamble. Which is
the name of the show is Upfront, and I'll be upfront. Here's another question. Do you believe in every word that's written in the Constitution? I'm sure you will say yes. बोलिए सर.
Yes.
UCC का सुना है पहले जिक्र आपने. Is UCC part of the Constitution?
It is a DPSP principle. Yes, it is.
Is it part of the Constitution? Don't tell me DPSP. Is it part of the Constitution? Is DPSP part of the Constitution? So UCC is part of the Constitution. Does the Congress believe in UCC? No. Are you anti-Constitution? By your logic, yes. Rakesh Sinha, Professor Sinha, respond to what you heard from Ashwini Mishra.
You know, the RSS General Secretary Sri Dattatreya Hoshwale has proposed a debate on secular and socialist terms which were inserted in the Constitution, in preamble of the Constitution by 42nd Amendment. I'm giving one instance, very interesting instance. Even during the dictatorial regime of Indira Gandhi, G. Lakshmanan of DMK in Rajya Sabha on, it was perhaps May 27, 1976, he protested. He said by inserting these two terms, Indian democracy is being killed. And he protested, walked out from the Rajya Sabha. Another member, Ram Lal Parikh, he said that the government does not like that members should read even what is the bill. No member was provided the actual bill. 60 bills have been included in the one amendment, and the members were confused. He said this is the disrespect for the sovereignty of the parliament. Now coming to the core point. India is secular not because of this term in the constitution. India is secular because Hindu way of life. Hindu way of life is based on Upanishads' two words. That is neti neti. This is not, that is not. Which means that diversity is the essence of India's Hindu way of life. Any religion which deviates from the diversity cannot contribute in the secularism. Therefore, when Dattatreya Hoshwale says, or Mohan Bhagwat said in the Vigyan Bhavan conclave a few years ago, the core point is that Indian secularism can be safeguarded by promoting, protecting, and patronizing the Hindu way of life.
No, one minute. Professor Sinha, the Congress has said in the past, and Mr. Mishra, if I go to him, he will say the reason the BJP-RSS want the two words removed, secular and socialist removed, is because they want to make India a Hindu Rashtra. Respond to that.
No, basic thing is that Congress party's leader Rahul Gandhi does not believe in the constitution. And I'm surprised that Jairam Ramesh ji was saying that it was the Manu Smriti which would be part of the Indian constitution. I'm asking the Congress leadership, do they believe in the constitution? Are they condemning the emergency and the act during the emergency? Second thing, Rahul Gandhi has always disrespected the constitution, constitutional mechanism, constitutional procedures, and constitutional institutions. So Congress does not have moral right to question the BJP. I am coming to the core point. In this Constituent Assembly, K.T. Shah proposed an amendment that secular, socialist, and federal words should be inserted. Who opposed it? None other than Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar opposed it. He said there are a lot of things in the directive principle of state policy. How much socialism you want?
No, you're right.
It was Baba Saheb
I have
Ambedkar's
that here
constitution
with
which
me.
was
B.R. Ambedkar, sir, he said, and I'm quoting, "Sir, I regret that I cannot accept the amendment of Professor K.T. Shah. The Constitution is merely a mechanism for the purpose of regulating the work of various organs of the state. It is not a mechanism whereby particular members of particular parties are installed in office. What should be the policy of the state, how the society should be organized in its social and economic side are matters which must be decided by the people themselves according to time and circumstances. It cannot be laid down in the Constitution itself because it is destroying democracy altogether." This is B.R. Ambedkar responding to K.T. Shah. Let's bring in Sanjay Hegde. Mr. Hegde, what do you make of this demand to have a discussion that there should be a review of the two words?
Well, anybody can demand anything. Many people want reviews of various provisions of the Constitution. However, just let's get our facts straight. You read part of that passage and that exchange between Professor K.T. Shah and Dr. Ambedkar. If you read the whole of Dr. Ambedkar's reply, he basically answers the point on whether you should have socialism also as part of the preamble and whether you can bind the future in a manner of speaking. He does not address himself to the question of secularism. The second point is that the 42nd Amendment was no doubt passed during the emergency. Many of these MPs were in prison. There was no discussion. But the 42nd Amendment was undone by the 44th Amendment with Mr. Shanti Bhushan, who was then the law minister, and under Morarji Bhai, almost rewriting everything that the 42nd Amendment had written. In that government of Morarji Desai, the External Affairs Minister was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Information and Broadcasting was L.K. Advani. The Jan Sangh at that point of time was an important component of the Janata Party. Even with such a government, this amendment was not re-rolled. Whatever had come in the 42nd Amendment was allowed to stand, and it has subsequently stood through several other governments for the past 50 years. It is up to any parliament to amend whichever portion of the Constitution it wants without destroying the basic structure. It is entirely the job of Parliament. There is nothing which prevents today's Parliament, for instance, to say, okay, let's knock off these two words. Does it destroy the basic structure? Does it make it less secular? That is a question that the court will examine.
No, but what do you think? If the two words are removed, will it alter the basic structure?
Well, the Supreme Court in Bommai's case has said that secularism is part of the basic structure of the Constitution. The preamble is the foreword of the Constitution. It is like the mission statement for the nation, that this is the kind of republic that we want to build. Now, if after the word has been in the Constitution for about 50 years now, you take it away, have you destroyed its basic structure or not? A Constitution bench of the Supreme Court will decide it at an appropriate point of time, assuming that you get Parliament to amend it. Today, we are at the stage of discussion, and that's exactly what we are doing. I think that the Constitution has always been secular. I do not agree with Mr. Sinha's point that it's only because of Hinduism that we are secular. We are secular because we made a conscious choice from 1948 onwards till 1950, when we adopted the Constitution, that we would not go the Pakistan way. We would not be a theocratic state. Our forefathers made choices that was reaffirmed later in 76 and in 78. And I see no reason why I should take a different approach.
Okay. I know, Dr. Ranganathan, you want to come in, but let's get the BJP's view first. Sanju Verma, should you be changing the mission statement? You've heard Sanjay Hegde. He spoke very clearly. You heard the examples. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there. Mr. Advani was there. Why do you want to change the mission statement? The Congress did it. That's okay, but it has been 50 years now. Why do you want to alter that?
You know, Pranesh, first and foremost, let's get one thing very clear. Jairam Ramesh has today put out a post on X saying that BJP and the RSS, they've never respected the likes of B.R. Ambedkar and Nehru. Nehru ke upar to khair bahut debate ho chuki hai. But let's come to B.R. Ambedkar. I want to quote a few lines from B.R. Ambedkar's, seminal work called Partition and Thoughts on Partition, written by him in 1940. Because at that time, this entire debate about splitting India had already started. This is what he said. He was always against the idea of splitting India. He was against the idea of Pakistan. And this is what he said. I'm quoting him as verbatim for the benefit of your viewers. When somebody told him that if India is not split into two halves, the rights of Muslims will not be safeguarded. He says, Muslims have been granted safeguards against the possible tyranny of the Hindu majority, which is wider and better than the safeguards which have been given to the French in Canada, to the English in South Africa, and to the French and the Italians in Switzerland. And then to further elaborate his point, Dr. Ambedkar referred to the Government of India Act 1935, where he said that out of 187 seats in the lower house of the central legislature, as it was called then, Hindus were allotted only 105 seats, whereas Muslims had 82 seats, despite Hindus being far higher in terms of overall population. The simple point is this: Congress, Rahul Gandhi, his retainers like Jairam Ramesh, Pawan Khera, Supriya Shrinek, they are trying to whitewash the horrors of emergency, and now narrative badalne ki koshish ki ja rahi hai. I want to ask one question. If the Congress party respected Ambedkar so much, why did Nehru write a letter to Dr. Rajendra Prasad saying don't attend Ambedkar's last rites, as he is a controversial figure and a traitor? Why did Nehru stall Ambedkar's efforts to get into Lok Sabha twice? Once in 1952, once in 1954.
Okay.
Fir Ambedkar Sahab ko Rajya Sabha ka route lena pada. I want to ask one more question. These people talk about the very ethos of the Constitution. Who curbed freedom of speech and expression? Pranesh,
Right.
Why the First Amendment? It was Nehru. Who curbed the power of judicial review of the courts by way of the 42nd Amendment? It was Indira Gandhi. And let me also say very quickly, in 1984, after the Sikh genocide, Justice Ranganath Mishra gave a clean chit to the Congress party. And do you know something? In 1991, Ranganath Mishra was given a Rajya Sabha membership by the Congress
You are right.
party.
All of this is recorded, but I want to focus on the larger principle that we are debating. Dr. Ranganathan, the Congress says, if you even think of altering the preamble again, doing away with these two words, you are anti-constitution.
Good evening, Pranesh, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, every day the Congress picks up a new whip to lash itself with. It has taken self-flagellation to an art form, honestly. I think Rahul knows that the only election he can now win is the RWA election in Lutyens, Delhi. And there too, there will be stiff competition from Congress geriatric uncles and aunties who've occupied the bungalows for decades, for they also want to win an election. What is it today? That the RSS wants to change the constitution of Dr. Ambedkar? Well, all that the RSS leader said was that the words socialist and secular should be removed from the Constitution's preamble. These gimpish self-flagellators of the Congress don't even know that these two words weren't there in Ambedkar's Constitution, and he had specifically wanted them not to be there. They were inserted by Indira Gandhi during the emergency. So what they mean to say is that for 30 years that Congress ruled India till 1975-76, India wasn't secular, India wasn't socialist. So damn right, they should be removed. Not only that, Nehru's draconian First Amendment should also be removed. Have the guts. Look, no one has damaged our constitution more than the Congress, because when does constitution die? It's a simple question. when a citizen's freedom of speech and expression is brutally stomped upon. And that is what Nehru did through his first amendment to our constitution, following which under him dozens of books and films were banned, historians and editors were jailed. When does constitution die? When the president and the judiciary is forced to curtail the fundamental rights of the citizen. And that is what Indira Gandhi did through the emergency, following which tens of thousands of Indians were jailed and killed and sterilized, and constitution's body and soul and preamble altered with gay abandon. When does constitution die? When a Supreme Court's considered verdict is overturned with impunity, when the citizen's right to privacy is snatched away. And that is what Rajiv Gandhi did through the Postal Act and through overturning the Shah Bano judgment, ushering in an era of blatant appeasement. When does constitution die? When tens of thousands of activists are arrested and charged with sedition and called anti-national. When the election commission is severely compromised, which is what Sonia Gandhi did, when under her proxy rule 8,000 activists were charged with sedition in a single day. When Naveen Chawla, despite the Shah commission charging him with committing atrocities during the emergency and deeming him unfit for office, was appointed the chief election commissioner, ignoring the cries of the then CEC that Chawla was spying for the Congress. When does constitution die, Pranesh? When the FCRA Act is retrospectively amended, rendering the High Court conviction of political parties like the BJP and the Congress toothless, which is what happened under Rahul Gandhi through a parliamentary amendment brought in by the BJP and supported by the Congress. Nehru, Indira, Rajiv, Sonia, Rahul, these are the famous five who have made sure our constitution is dead. On the other hand, how has Modi killed constitution or the RSS? Give me one example that hasn't either been ratified by the Supreme Court or the opposition itself, like the 370 abrogation of the SC/ST Act. Finally, you need to give me 30 seconds for this. About secularism. You can have the state give Hajj subsidy for decades, use taxpayers' money to host iftar parties, plunder state coffers to pay monthly salaries to thousands of Maulvis, ask UGC to completely fund minority institutions that keep 50% seat reserved for minorities, overturn a Supreme Court judgment just to appease Muslims, leech thousands of crores preferentially from Hindu temples, control thousands of acres of Hindu temple land, spend crores of taxpayers' money for Kartarpur corridor, run madrasas, order only Hindu-run schools to give 25% reservation to the poor and still be secular? Why is the state paying the surveyors of the Waqf board? Why is the state paying salaries to Maulvis?
You're right. I asked these questions and let's get Professor Mondal. How would you respond to this? Look, the Congress changed the original preamble. And now Congress leaders are saying that if you even think of it, you are anti-constitution.
I think the change was warranted not just because of emergency, but also because of the birth of Bangladesh and the humongous refugee crisis in this part of the country. And rightly so. In fact, BJP should thank this change. Because if you think about the rise of BJP and their quote-unquote Hindutva policy, that also took place since the late 1970s. Before that, BJP was not even there in the political horizon of the country. And since then, through the 80s and 90s, the BJP rose to power and prominence to writing in the name of religion. And thank God, it is now at least in the constitution, because of that we are at least virtually we are able to fight with the kind of brutal quote-unquote fake Hindutva vote that the BJP is. I repeat why I call it virtually, because we are still not truly a secular country. Right now, my good friend who is an erudite person talked about the Maulvis, the Muslims and the minority, without understanding the fact that minority is not religion, neither they are only for the Muslims. It is the number. Minority is a number that, yes, it is a
Professor
number.
Mondal, if that is the case, even if you go by number, I said that in my opening, I said that in the beginning of the show. I set up the debate by saying, look at what is happening to Hindus, where they are not in majority. Do they enjoy the minority tag? They don't. ये तो नंबर की बात है ना, आप छोड़ दीजिए, संख्या के हिसाब से बता दीजिए. Professor Mondal, you will have no answer for it in 1 minute. This Bangladesh logic is absurd and ridiculous. The birth of Pakistan was enough, if going by your logic, to insert the two words. So let's not come up with wild arguments. Mr. Hegde had his hand up when Dr. Ranganathan was speaking. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just a couple of points of history and clarification. The First Amendment was also passed by the very same Constituent Assembly, which was then the Parliament. It was not as if it was Nehru who just brought in the First Amendment. It was the Constituent Assembly which said that this is what we intend our Constitution to mean, because in between there had been judgments of the newly formed Supreme Court. The second point is on minorities. If you look at Article 29 of the Constitution, which says protection of the interests of minorities, it reads, any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script, or culture of their own shall have the right to conserve the same. So though we often identify minorities only based on religion, it actually is, it's non-religious, it applies across the board. So I may be a part of the Hindu majority in Delhi, but I would be a linguistic minority as a Kannada or a Tulu speaker in Delhi. I would then have the right to conserve my script or culture by bringing in a school, by admitting people from my community. So the Constitution, as it was drafted at that particular point of time,
okay. Professor Sinha is responding.
Was a series
Professor Sinha. Yes, sir. Rakesh Sinha ji, boliye.
आवाज ही कह रहा हाँ Yes, I'm just, Mr. Hegde is not addressing the core issue. I have two quick questions and observation. India is secular not because of these terms. Any constitution is secular not by these terms but by the people who follow it. Just Hegde should tell, if the Hindu shrinks to less than 50%, will he watch that India would be a secular state as it is? Second, my question is that Mr. Narendra Modi, our Honorable Prime Minister, does not believe in the particular term socialist. But 80 crore people are getting the foods, 12 crores of toilets, 49 crore people got the facility of the Ayushman. There are 11,000 Jan Hospitals, the number of things. So socialism and secularism are the spirit of the people. We are egalitarian by core. We are secular. We are a panth nirpeksha. We are not a dharma nirpeksha. Dharma, there is a difference between dharma and religion. So I am asking Mr. Hegde, he should answer, if Hindus shrink to the 40%,
okay, let's get that first question answered. Sanju Verma, Dr. Ranganathan, you see a lot of back and forth happening, so please wait for your turn. Mr. Hegde.
I believe in the Constitution, and under the Constitution, if for any reason the religious minority happens to be changed and Hindus come in as a religious minority, they would be entitled to the same rights, exactly whatever is now given to the religious minority under the Constitution. My point is that minorities are not only religious, they're also on the basis of script, also on the basis of culture. Protection of minority rights is protection of India's diversity and its unity. It is a response to the...
No, all of that, no, 1 minute. Mr. Hegde, look, I have a lot of regard for you, but, you're talking about the larger point. You're talking about the spirit. Let's, for a moment, focus on letter. I'm talking about recognition. So in states where Hindus are lesser in numbers, are they recognized as minority? That's my question, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, first of all, to rebut the good Mr. Hegde on both points that he raised. Number one, just because the draconian First Amendment, because of which free speech in this country was deliberately curbed by Nehru, was ratified by the Parliament or Constituent Assembly, doesn't mean that it should not be removed. By that corollary, any illegal law that is passed or pertain to be illegal or bad law passed by the Parliament should be acceptable by everyone. So why are people protesting against abrogation of 370 or CAA? It was passed by the Parliament. That is not the good logic. Number two, the fact of the matter is, if you say that language-based minority should be there, fine. Why should religious-based minority be there then? Because that is what is obfuscating everything. The Kashmiri Hindus in Kashmir are not considered as a minority because they are religious Hindus. That is the problem. If you have a minority based on texts or language, have it. Why bring in religion?
Sanju Verma.
Thank you. Pranesh, I have nothing personal against Mr. Ranganathan. He is very erudite. But you know, you have to give the BJP time also, because the allegations on your show are specifically against the BJP, and as the national spokesperson, it is only fair I be given time. I'm saying this to you very respectfully, with no offense to you. Let me come to the point straight. You know, Muslims are a minority. They are under threat. Muslim khatre mein hai, Musalman khatre mein hai. Out of a population of 142 crore Indians, we have about 22 to 25 crore Muslims. Roughly 17 to 18% of our population is Muslims. They are the second largest majority. We have only 2 crore Christians. We have only 1.5 crore Sikhs. We have only 85 lakh Buddhists. We have only 45 lakh Jains. And we have only 52,000 Parsis. These are minorities. Parsi community is a minority. Sikhs are in minority. Musalman is second largest majority hai. But coming to the point, I always believe actions speak louder than words. Congress ने include तो कर दिया socialist and secular. Who is truly secular? Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He wears his Hindutva proudly on his sleeves. He was at the forefront of the Ram Janmabhoomi Pran Pratishtha celebrations. This is the same Prime Minister under whose aegis the Al-Hakim Mosque was renovated in Egypt by the Bohra community. This is the same Prime Minister Modi who, from the ramparts of the Red Fort, celebrated the 400th anniversary of Guru Tegh Bahadur. This is the same Prime Minister Modi who opened the Kartarpur
Mr. Mishra,
This is the
Ashwini Mishra, I asked you that question at the beginning about the words UCC or the provision of UCC in the Constitution. Now you've had some time to think about it. Answer that.
You asked a question but did not allow me to answer.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so first let me put up another joke I got. RSS is a protector of the Constitution and Modi is the secular Prime Minister. The biggest joke. Let's not get into that. Pranesh, tell me this.
Mr. Mishra, you think, we are having a discussion on Constitution. आपको jokes याद आ रहा है sir? अभी मैं अगर jokes आपको सुनाऊं तो फिर मुश्किल हो जाएगी. I said in the beginning, it's a serious, sensitive topic. Let's give it that respect, please.
I'm trying to, but BJP spokesperson is cracking joke. I couldn't stop containing my laughter. Anyways, I'm so sorry for that. But you tell me, the basic structure of our constitution is judiciary should always be independent. Who brought in NJAC? We are not talking about that. We were trying to make judiciary also bow down to Modi ji. We were trying to
Mr. Mishra, ये डॉक्टर रंगनाथन यही बात कर रहे थे. एवरी डे आप लोग खुद ही अपने आप को विप्लैश करते हैं. जुडिशरी पे कांग्रेस का रिकॉर्ड सर एक बार आप ही गूगल करके देख लीजिए. जस्ट डू अ गूगल सर्च. मुझे तो बोलने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. और आप बता दीजिए, मेक 2 कॉलम्स. आप लिखिए कांग्रेस ने क्या किया, बीजेपी ने क्या किया, एंड यू बी द जज. आप भी लिखिए, आप ही एग्जामिनी भी हैं, एग्जामिनर भी आप ही हैं. So let's not go there. You're not answering my question. If Rahul Gandhi really believes that if you talk about having a debate on removing the word secular, socialist, you're anti-constitution, why did the Congress do it? वही simple सवाल है, बस इसका जवाब दे दीजिए.
On the table and bring in UCC. Don't just create the communal divide in the
communal divide.
Oh,
it's a communal thing. It's a communal thing in the Constitution. This is the respect you have for our framers of Constitution. Dr. Ranganathan, provision of UCC is communal.
नहीं वो सब तो अभी रहने दीजिए. अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे आते हैं. मैं अश्विनी जी को जरा से एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं. सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जजमेंट को ओवरटर्न करना किसी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी या गवर्नमेंट गलत काम है. बीजेपी ने ये किया. क्या आप उसका खंडन करते हैं अश्विनी जी? हाँ या ना का जवाब है सीधा.
आनंद जी बातों को घुमाओ मत।
नहीं, सीधा सवाल है, आप बोल दीजिए ना, खंडन करते हैं।
बीजेपी लाई, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पावर है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास पावर है किसी भी डिसीजन को जो एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है।
ही इज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द सुप्रीम कोर्ट, वो बोल रहे हैं कि सरकार को क्या ये पावर है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले को ओवरटर्न करने का? मिश्रा जी, आप सवाल नहीं समझे, मैं इसीलिए पूछ रहा हूं, क्या सरकार को पावर है चेंज करने का, और वो अगर कर देती है तो सही है या गलत, ये सवाल है।
पावर होती है कानून बनाने की, legislation has a power to enact a law. Supreme Court has a power to find the problem into it and remove those problems.
Okay, and then you have the problem, and then you have the power to overturn the Supreme Court like you did with the Shah Bano verdict. Dr. Ranganathan, quickly.
देखिए, मैं बस ये कह रहा हूं कि उसको, मैं शाहबानों पे तो आ ही नहीं रहा, मैं ये कह रहा हूं कि बीजेपी के हर स्टेप को कहते हैं इंस्टीट्यूशन को किल कर रहे हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को किल कर रहे हैं, जजेस को, जुडिशरी को किल कर रहे हैं। यस, बीजेपी ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट की SC ST एक्ट की जजमेंट को ओवरटर्न किया। बस ये बता दीजिए कि कांग्रेस ने क्यों सपोर्ट किया? भागना नहीं, आंसर करो, डरना नहीं, डरना कांपना नहीं, आंसर करो। व्हाई डिड राहुल गांधी सपोर्ट बीजेपी एंड मोदी ओवरटर्निंग द सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट? डोंट बी स्कैर्ड अश्विनी, यू आर अ गुड फ्रेंड, डोंट बी स्कैर्ड, आंसर।
आनंद जी, लेजिस्लेशन के पास पावर है लॉ को इनेक्ट करने
ये प्रिंसिपल की बात कर रहे हैं, प्रिंसिपल की आप लोगों ने सपोर्ट क्यों किया?
पावर देता है, पावर देता है। अगर लेजिस्लेशन को लगता है कोई लॉ बनाना ठीक है, अगर
तो फिर राहुल गांधी फिर क्यों बोल रहे हैं एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है? मिश्रा जी, दोनों बातें तो एक साथ सही नहीं हो सकती ना, ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता है। ये आपका अलग ब्रांड ऑफ सेक्युलरिज्म हो जाएगा। बट वी हैव रन आउट ऑफ टाइम, वी हैव अनदर डिस्कशन टू हैव। आई थैंक सम ऑफ यू for joining us on debate number 1. Mr. Hegde, thank you for your time.